the day before yesterday, and we practiced at our facility, and our guys showed up and with a lot of energy, with a lot of juice, and it's been really fun coaching this group the last week and a half, and they've really embraced everything. We got a new coach on the staff, and he's brought a lot to the table, and they've really welcomed him, and it's just been a fun time with this group of kids and the coaches. So, but appreciate everything that the Sugar Bowl committee's done for us with regards to accessibility, where we got to go, and the practice yesterday was smooth. It was smooth as smooth can be.
Questions for Coach? Start out over here on my left, please.
Brooks Austin, Sports Illustrated's Bulldog Maven. Coach Coley, you already mentioned Coach Luke, and we asked a couple of players yesterday, and all they talked about was Coach Luke's energy. How much energy does he actually bring to practice?
Man, I thought I had a lot, but it's fun coaching with him. It's a lot of fun because he really enjoys it. I mean, you can tell it's his passion. And of course, he's a head coach, and he's done this for a while, and he's running up and down the field. He's celebrating with the players. He's coaching them hard. He's always teaching. We can be in a staff room, and he's teaching the staff. So he loves the game. He's got a great feel for people, and he's got great knowledge about the offensive line and offense period. So it's fun having him around.
Stay over on the left.
Hey, Coach, good morning.
Good
with
morning.
Isaiah and Andrew no longer obviously going to the NFL, how does that affect things obviously on the offensive line? Who starts in their place? Well,
we got guys that we're working that rotation. You got Cade Mays, you got Jamari Sawyer, and you got McClendon, freshman, who's been practicing really hard. So those guys played great for us this year. But Cade and Jamari also played in those spots. So we're excited to see them get their opportunity, and tell you what, they've really had fun, and they've really worked really hard these last several practices, and it's fun watching a kid jump into a row, embrace it, work at it, and you start seeing them improve every I wouldn't say every play, but as every period goes on in practices and the practices flow on, you start seeing them get into their I say groove again, but getting into their niche, So it's been fun watching those two guys, and Warren's gotten a lot better. Also, he's taking a lot more reps with good on good, So it's a challenge, and I know those guys are gonna go out there and play their butts off for Georgia.
Stay on this side towards the back.
Anthony Dasher, UJSports.com. Hey, Coach. Obviously, offense has been a big topic of conversation at Georgia this year. Some of the issues have kind of gone on. I just want to kind of get your take on kind of how things have went. Maybe talk about some of the problems that have happened and how you're going about trying to address them moving forward.
Sure. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody's talked about the play on the outside, and the questions on Jake, and you know what? I got to do a better job, first and foremost. Starts with me, right? So, I'm looking at myself hard and criticizing myself and busting my tail to get that in better. And then, we do have to put some pieces in place for a quarterback in the pass game. We got to put some pieces in place up front for the running backs. So it goes down to players. And that's the bottom line, right? So how do you get your players better so they can reach their full potential? And that's what we've been fighting all season long to get better at, working really hard at, bottom line, got to score points. How do you score points with conditions of what you have or the injuries you're working with, So it's been tough, and ultimately it falls on me, and, it's our job to get it better.
Stay on this side of the room.
Hey, James.
Hey, Bo.
When you were promoted, after you were promoted to the job, How much were you able to install and run the system you want to run, as opposed to continuing Cheney's system
Right.
and or running the system that Kirby wants to run?
Well, I don't really see it as the system that Kirby wants to run, or we're forced to run this certain system. No, we as a staff, we sat down and we said, what gives us the best chance to beat certain teams with the players we have, and that's the plays we've called to put our players in place. We're still a pro style offense, and that just gives us the flexibility to do a bunch of things. And again, it's who you have out there and who you're trying to feature. So what gives you the best chance? Giving the ball to the tailback, who's a really good player, or throwing the ball to a young guy who may not be ready for that moment yet. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's what I want to do has been held back. No, what I want to do, I've done. So it's been none of that.
Over on this side of the room on the front row.
Hey, Coach Mike Griffith, AJC Dog Nation. I think the count 6 or 7 receivers. I've lost count of how many guys you've had hurt. I guess Kirby called it a merry-go-round of receivers. How challenging has it been to devise a scheme around player talent? You said in the fall that the scheme would be devised around player talent, but when the player talent is constantly changing, how much have you had to change from week to week to scheme around that talent?
Yeah, you call plays. We can sit there and we can all get in a room. Everybody in this room, we could put a game on, and we can all figure out what plays would be great against that defense. Now, who's going to make those plays, right? Who's going to run that precise route? Can we have a formation set that's going to give us the same look that the other team had, because they're respecting certain players? I think we were very different from last year to this year because of the departure of the receivers we had that are now playing in the NFL. And I think we're different from, I would say, the first quarter of the South Carolina game till now because of the injuries to a player like Lawrence Cager, And I think that all affects the quarterback sometimes, right? So, you're moving your pieces around to give yourself the best chance to win, to score enough points to win, to score more points than the other opponent. And when you do have injuries, for example, the SEC championship game, right? We got 2 of the 3 starters are out in the first quarter, and you're already a little bit low. Now you got to figure out, okay, what's the emergency plan from the emergency plan, and you have one set, and you have to deal with the elements of the game, what they're doing to you, and how you're going to respond with guys that are new at those spots. It's tough. It's our job, though. It's my job. So, it is. It's a difficult thing to scheme around, but it's what we do, and it's what we get paid to do, and we got to do the best we can.
Back on this side of the room in the very back.
James, when you look at the body of work of Jake Fromm for this season, what do you attribute for the dip in production? Is it simply a matter of injuries?
Yeah, I believe so. If you look at the stats, and we all, everything is around stats, right? And my job and the job of the guys that work with us on offense is to figure out, how can we improve a player's performance, And Jake's performance, I would say, with Lawrence Cager in the game was something like he was at 71% completion for the season. Lawrence Cager's not in the game. He's what? It's a lot lower. So has he regressed, or has his stats regressed? Right? I would say stats regressed. I'm around Jake every day. Coach Jake, I was his quarterback coach last year. Jake, if anything, Jake's sharper because of the multiples that he's had to deal with new guys in the lineup. He's sharper because of it. But it gets you at times. It looks like you're not accurate when, a guy's running a bender across the middle of the field, and he keeps it vertical, and you think he's bending, and the ball ends up being short, and you end up going, man, this guy threw a terrible ball. Or the guy's running a 10-yard stop route, and he runs it at 12, and it's a low throw, right? So, but that's not all the time. It's just it happens when you get injuries. You get guys in the game that haven't played in a while, or it's their first chance. You're a little nervous, and they take their routes a little deeper and where they should be, and it ends up looking like the guy's not playing as good as he was a year ago. When you're playing quarterback, you are sitting there, and you got to deal with the guys who are playing around you. You almost have to adjust your game to them, right? So I think Jake is still the same Jake. I think he's done a great job with his attitude, how he comes to work every day. He's not fazed by stats. He's not fazed by a production in a game that he knows he did all he could do, to give us a shot. But coaching him for 2 years now, I'm very proud of the kid. I'm watching him in practice this week and last week. And man, you're talking about a person that comes in with a great spirit to compete and to affect others. It's unbelievable.
We have time for 2 more questions. We'll do the center of the room over here and then wrap up in the back. So right here.
Coach Chip Towers, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. What level of participation do you expect from DeAndre Swift in this game? And, when he's not in the game, how do you see the rotation at running back? How does that affect how you call the game?
Sure. Man, DeAndre Swift is working really hard to get healthy. You guys know he hasn't been healthy 100%. And he's practicing hard. We're all supporting him through this because it's tough. He really, in his heart, he's a part of this team. He's a leader. He's one of our leaders. If he's unable to go, we got a good stable of running backs there. James Cook and Zamir White and Kenny McIntosh have all practiced really hard and embraced the role of, hey, I'm the next guy in. And those guys are embracing bigger roles than just playing in the backfield. As you guys saw in our game, the SEC championship game, they played in the slot. We motioned them in from the backfield to the third receiver in a set, to the first receiver in a set. They did a bunch of stuff. So they've had to cram in more than just running back at times. They've played outside as receivers. So I'm excited to see those kids play. They've worked really hard and they're ready for this opportunity.
Final question on the left in the very back.
John Werner, Waco Tribune Herald. Coach, what do you see from Baylor's defense, especially the three-man line that's produced so many sacks?
Well-coached group. When you watch them on defense, and we spent some time, analyzing what they do and how they affect other teams. They are well-coached, and they're kids that play with a high motor. They know what they're doing. They got great skill set. Those 3 guys up front, they know how to use their hands. They have great get-off. The biggest thing that you notice from them outside of their talent is they're always playing hard, because it's them. Those 3 guys up front, and they do a great job with scheme to make you feel like, they're giving you all this room, but they're not. They swarm the ball as an entire unit, but pretty impressive group, up front. You can see why they've had the success they've had in that league, which you face a lot of great offenses in that league.
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder, the following